there's a mistake we made as government, and not to disclassify an intelligence document about what happened in Alexander 2008. That thing was organized to drive the Zimbabweans out of the country back to Zimbabwe because there were elections in Zimbabwe. It was people who were being driven out, they were going to vote against Bob Mugabe then. An intelligence report which has got the names and the dates and the venues where people met and planned this and so on. It's presented as a xenophobic attack by the people of Alex against it. It was wrong. It was organized, systematic for a political purpose. I'm saying the mistake we made, we should have declassified that intelligence report. It's got the names and the dates and the venues of the meetings which were organized in order to produce this outcome.
Xeno is not happy. He's not happy with the Home Affairs Minister because of that list that was produced in Parliament. Not in Parliament. So there's a scarce list that was produced. It has industrial pharmacists, it has types of nurses, and some corporate manager as well. So the one that I saw was the one that was produced by Motsoaledi on the Government Gazette. I saw it is a 2023 one sent by him. I've not seen the latest one. I tried to check it, but I just thought let's just talk. And there's a criteria for immigrants in South Africa who want to come in as scarce skills, and what kind of visas do they need to have. It's a liberous thing, and I always see those things and I'm thinking, this thing is not going to help. You know, when you talk about immigration in South Africa, it's always a very confusing thing. And for many reasons. You look at that list, I mean, come on, let's be honest. People are not going to pass that thing. The submissions that are required there, people are not going to pass that thing. I did a podcast about the Zimbabweans in Musina who were complaining that passports are very expensive in South Africa to acquire. Their passports, in fact, their passports into South Africa are very expensive. And you ask yourself, why would Mnangagwa do that? And why would South Africans do that? Because, like Malema said, we must be seen to be helping people to be legal. Because if they can't afford the fees and everything, they are going to be illegal immigrants. And remember, the cause here is not to make people illegal. The cause is to make people legal. But if you make it too high, then you are going to cause illegal people to be in the country. So the reason I'm saying it's complicated is because, I mean, Xeno is pursuing this thing because he doesn't want it, because he says South African immigrants are South African graduates do not do well in the marketplace because they are outperformed in terms of by foreigners. EFF in Tshwane did the same exercise. They went to that Babel restaurant. They could not. They have not managed to bring down that Babel restaurant because it's negotiations. You know, when you negotiate with someone who breaks the law, it's always a bad thing. So because this thing must be simple. Did you hire foreigners illegally? Yes. Then here are the consequences for hiring someone illegally. It should be as simple as that. But because it's not simple, because we talk about it, it will continue going. Whenever there are raids, there is always illegal immigrants found working. Now, let's talk about those who are not illegals, but they are legal South Africans, they are legal foreigners who are working. What kind of jobs are they working? You see now, then you start to compare. Even those who are legal, are they working jobs that are they legally entitled to work? Because working visas are very important. They are there to keep the unemployment rate in a country, to make sure that the youth are working and. Because it's not only the battle for illegal people. Anyway, I don't want to be long. I just want you to see how the government of the ANC fail. I'm not saying the new Minister of Home Affairs is not failing. I just want to show you when this xenophobic stuff started. It started with Thabo Mbeki. This is Thabo Mbeki speaking about it. It started around 2008, and Thabo Mbeki explains it that the government of South Africa had a dossier, an intelligence report that explains what happened, and they've got proof that it is all political. So you have to blame the Zimbabwean government and the South African government for what is happening. But the people on the ground are suffering. There was a march in Union Building on Monday. It was attended by Action SA, Save South Africa. Patriotic Alliance did not attend, and we made a podcast with Gwena Molekwa. They did not attend because they don't think it's a political thing. Operation Dudula, they did not attend. And you ask yourself, guys, why are you failing to unite against the common cause that you say is South Africa? So Dudula will want to go and make their own march, as few as they are. And as few as this Action SA guys are, they are going to make their own march. They go there in drips and drabs instead of addressing this issue, because foreign nationals don't need jobs in South Africa. But legitimize them, make them legal people so they can get these jobs. The more they are illegal, the more we keep fighting as Africans. It's not necessary. Don't make the bar too high for them to jump. If indeed we have scarce jobs, let South African get those jobs and work. Simple. Mashani Political Incorrect, please listen to Thabo Mbeki and tell me what you feel about his African way of thinking, because he talks about Ubuntu and stuff. But I blame the ANC and the Zimbabwean government. Thank you.
The leadership. It's in our political leadership on the continent. It's not among the masses of the people. The masses of the people continue to share this view that as a continent we share the same destiny. What do we do together? In that context, the matter that again raised, I hope that the national dialogue I'm talking about will address this issue, which is a matter of great debate in this country, about the so-called undocumented people. Colleagues, the people to, let me say, since the beginning of diamond mining in the 19th century, later gold mining and all of that, this country has seen lots of Africans from the rest of the continent moving to this country. The issue of many other Africans being present with us is not new. And historically, the indigenous African community has never, ever been hostile to other Africans coming from other African countries. Take the old township, Alexander Township in Johannesburg. That township has always had people from all over the continent. With no friction, with no nothing. Historically, the African community here has never been xenophobic about other Africans. So, 2008, we're way past 6 o'clock now. 2008, all manner of trouble breaks out in Alexander Township in Johannesburg. Attack on these foreigners, particularly Zimbabweans. Then it spread elsewhere. Xenophobia, Afrophobia. So I say, when I saw that thing, I was in government, I was president. I say, but this is it's not Alexander Township. Alex for decades has had Zimbabweans and Mozambicans and this and that, and never ever this conflict. Why? there's a mistake we made as government, and not to disclassify an intelligence document about what happened in Alexander 2008. That thing was organized to drive the Zimbabweans out of the country back to Zimbabwe because there were elections in Zimbabwe. It was people who were being driven out, they were going to vote against Bob Mugabe then. An intelligence report which has got the names and the dates and venues where people met and planned this and so on. It's presented as a xenophobic attack by the people of Alex against it. It was wrong. It was organized, systematic for a political purpose. I'm saying the mistake we made, we should have declassified that intelligence report. It's got the names and the dates and the venues of the meetings which are organized in order to produce this outcome. We've got many, many challenges of the economy here. Unemployment, very serious problem. Economy is in crisis. I'm a former president of this country, and you'll never ever convince me that this economy is in crisis because of foreigners. It's not true. It's not true. It's because there's certain things that have happened with regard to the economy which have produced economic crisis, resulting, among other things, in unemployment. So we've got to solve this problem. We've got to deal with this economy and deal with these problems of unemployment. At the same time, the country has got laws about migration of people. Let's enforce the laws. You can't just come in illegally. Yeah. So the thing about the registration of people undocumented is correct. But I'm saying, like we have an economic crisis, it's incorrect to think that that economic crisis is caused by people who have come from the rest of the world. I'm hoping that, I'm coming back to the matter of the national dialogue, that this matter also becomes a matter of discussion. One of the things that happened, colleagues, very important in my view, is that the continent genuinely took it as one of its responsibility to help us to fight and defeat apartheid. Ordinary citizens would contribute monies to go into a common fund in order to support the struggle here in Namibia and Zimbabwe. That became a people's issue. Wherever you went around the continent, I've got Welly Lentlapo here, former ambassador. Wherever you went on the continent, 1980, 1985, the focus on South Africa among the ordinary people was very high. The consequence of it is that when South Africa becomes liberated, the same masses, they say, I'm going to South Africa. It's natural. They develop that kind of very fondness and closeness to this country. So we must go to this country. That's the challenge, the real challenge we face. It doesn't matter, I'm saying. It doesn't matter how many electrical fences you build. You are not going to stop these Africans coming here. So our challenge is to say, how do we deal with that reality? And then, my colleagues, you might also remember that a few years back, there were similar so-called xenophobic attacks in Durban. What the provincial government did there was to appoint a commission to go into that, which was chaired by Judge Navi Pillay. You'll find that report on the internet. And they deal with this question. They say the reality of the matter is, you've got many migrants coming from the continent and elsewhere who come here, and there's no way I'm going to stop it. The issue is, how do we deal with these things who become new citizens of South Africa, new residents? We've got to find a way of dealing with it. and practical steps. I'm saying that Navi Pillay report is very important. It addresses this question. When we're new in government here, issue was raised about there are many Mozambicans who come across the border and get employed by the farmers in the then Eastern Transvaal, paid low wages, outcompete the South African farm workers and all that. Must deal with this matter. So we agreed, and then a big movement took place to deport these Mozambicans back to Mozambique. I think we continued that program for 2 months at best and stopped it. The reason we stopped it is because the following week after they've been deported, they are back in the country. Or you had Lindela, this place they call Lindela for people who are being deported. Come Christmas time, the Zimbabweans would go to Lindela to say, I'm illegal. So that the government must convey them at its cost, transform them back to Zimbabwe. 2 days after New Year, they are back. How do you deal with this situation? I'm saying that I'm hoping that in the national dialogue there will be a discussion of this. Because certainly, I mean, as an African, I belong to this old tradition. As in our culture, you are never ever hostile to a stranger. A visitor, a visitor who comes, they get the best food in the house. It's a framework.